From New York to London to Tokyo to Sydney in 3 seconds. The spread of information is seemingly instant. And to think, a little over a decade ago, the World Wide Web played almost no role in our daily lives. It has become the most pervasive form of communication ever, the biggest community imaginable, its digital tentacles touching every part of the globe. Yet the effortless nature and mind-boggling speed of the internet is also its greatest pitfall. Online safety has emerged as a complex battleground for users and authorities. The pervasive has quickly become the invasive. Stories of billion-dollar fraud, predatory acts, chat room bullying, huge torrents of false information passed as fact. Crimes and propaganda that are faceless, nameless, and perpetrated by everyday people.
But there are simple things we all can do to ensure we remain safe online. In this program, we'll be looking at a number of issues concerning internet safety, such as who knows what about you, online friends or foes, getting caught in the marketing web, the world of cyberbullying, and finally, fact or fiction information on the internet. If it's on the internet, does it exist in real life? Many people think of the net as a kind of fantasy world where there are no consequences for the information they provide.
But not everyone views the net in the same way. For example, the use of social networking sites like MySpace and Facebook are now a global phenomenon.
Yet these portals and many other public forums like them present one of the easiest ways to gain information about you, information you might initially have thought was private.
You've just spent hours completing an application for an exciting summer job. You think it paints a perfect picture of you as a hard-working and respectful person.
But more and more employers are now accessing social networking avatars to gain a clearer understanding of candidates. What's the first impression they'll get if they find something about you?
In a few easy clicks, they can see photos and messages posted by you and your friends. You forget about that picture from the party last year. You forgot about the hate club you joined. You forgot about the swearing. But it was all a joke, right? Would a prospective employer give you the benefit of the doubt after seeing this? Would you? Would you provide a complete stranger with compromising information about yourself? In essence, that's what these public websites are doing. These dangers also bring into light an important aspect to internet behaviour: morals. And more importantly, do they exist in the cyber world?
While morals change from culture to culture, they don't from one area of your life to another. To be rude, cruel, racist, sexist or threatening on the internet is the same as doing it in a physical face-to-face setting. This might not seem that way at the time, but common sense, fairness and equality also govern the internet.
This becomes particularly important in a professional sense when completing applications for university and employment, or even when going for a bank loan. So ask yourself, what information have you posted about yourself? Is it accurate? How revealing is it? Can it be deleted? Can it be accessed by anyone?
Another popular trend with younger people is the creation of personalised websites and blog forums. Information on these sites, like MySpace and Facebook, should also respect the rights and beliefs of others. This can be a real pitfall when someone has revealed information about you. Are there groups or clubs you've joined that reveal where you live, your date of birth, your phone number, or even your interests and beliefs?
While some countries, like America, have freedom of speech laws written into their constitution, it doesn't mean you're immune from prosecution should a website or blog directly attack a person or organisation. In Commonwealth countries like Britain, Australia and New Zealand, the rule of law applies equally to extreme or violent views being posted on the net. While much of this seems blatantly obvious, there are an increasing number of examples where people have been prosecuted for defamation for views expressed on the web. There have also been tighter internet restrictions made in many countries, especially China, Thailand and North Korea, where it is illegal to express negative views about the government. It's true that Western culture has relatively relaxed laws compared to those countries, but people often forget that information on the net is made public in seconds. Unlike a book or newspaper, publication on the web is immediate and is rarely scrutinised properly.
While much of what we put on the internet might be harmless and insignificant, you should always observe a general protocol when joining social networking sites or completing online membership forms. If you wouldn't want to know that about someone else, chances are they won't about you.
Much of what you put on the internet is public information. It's important to observe everyday morals when on the internet. How will other people interpret what they see and read about you? Different laws apply in different countries, so understand which apply to yourself. Ensure other websites don't have private information about you for everyone to see. Don't write anything you wouldn't want to know about others.
The creation of false identities has plagued the internet since it began in the mid-1990s. And we've all read or heard about online predators and the dangers people unknowingly have got themselves into. It's a nasty world within a world, but online users can ensure they remain safe by understanding the nature of the internet. Put simply, can you ever truly know who you're talking to on the net? You can't. That's one of the inherent flaws of web communication.
False prophets navigate the thousands of unmoderated chat rooms available to them, searching for people to meet through a process called online grooming. This is an elaborate hoax to gain the confidence of its victim. Initially, it all seems innocent, so you provide information about your school, friends and family, maybe even where you live. You'd never do this to someone walking down the street, but online it's easy to forget the do's and don'ts.
So how do people fall victim to this? Like a good magician, online predators use an array of tricks and props to make them appear like someone they're not. They'll know the latest music, movies and fashion, and even use the exact same sayings you use. They'll type using emoticons and abbreviated language to lull you into a false sense of security. Eventually they'll read and sound like the person you think them to be, and then presto. It's not always the first online meeting when a predator will attempt to meet you face to face. Often they will try to gain your trust over a long period of time. This might include offering you fake photos of themselves, complimenting you on how smart or attractive you are, and even gaining information about when your parents will be home.
There are many cases where younger people have felt isolated at school or home and have unknowingly reached out to online predators. Sometimes the temptation is too difficult to resist, and teenagers have found themselves in potentially dangerous situations. Which brings us to a difficult question about talking to people online. Is it ever actually safe to meet them face to face? In a black and white world, the answer is no, but this doesn't take into account the thrill or romantic aspect of online chatting.
By being anonymous, you can be anyone you want. You don't feel shy or awkward, so it's a liberating and rebellious experience for many people. But that doesn't mean the online fantasy should transfer into a real meeting without carefully thinking it through.
Perhaps take a friend with you or ensure you meet in a public place. Make it clear you need to feel safe about the deal before going ahead. It's far better to suffer even slight embarrassment than find yourself in a threatening situation with no one to turn to. Realise that the internet lends itself to predatory behaviour. Be careful who you supply personal information to. You can never truly know who you're talking to online. There are many cases around the world of people falling victim to online grooming. If you do ever decide to meet, make sure a friend comes with you and you meet in a public space.
Like online predators, marketing scams operate on the premise of tricking its victims. While there's no danger involved, the consequences of a marketing hijinks are no less damaging. In the same way counterfeit money looks and feels real, so do the bogus schemes on the internet set up to deprive people of money and opportunity.
The most common tactic fraudsters use is phishing. Phishing lures its victims into providing financial information, such as credit card details or online banking passwords, or payment for non-existent products. This is carried out by setting up dummy websites and viral emails, which ask people for their details. The sites are designed to replicate an existing institution, especially a large bank or an auction house like eBay.
On the surface, everything appears normal. All the emblems, colours and slogans are what you'd expect. But often these dummy sites won't allow you to navigate away from a certain page, or the graphics might seem slightly amateurish.
If you're even remotely suspicious, close down the site. The offer of a lifetime is often too good to be true. Again, asking yourself a few simple questions can stop you getting into trouble. Why did they specifically choose you? Has your bank ever asked for your details online before? Is the company even real? Can you find reliable information about the offers somewhere else on the net? Other types of targeted marketing include cookies. These are personalised identity tags that are embedded into your browser when you surf the net. It allows marketers to track and record the websites you visit, including the frequency and length of the visits.
This is called profiling, and many laws have been passed in recent years to curb the impact of cookies on people's privacy.
While seemingly harmless, persistent or permanent, cookies can be difficult to filter and erase from your computer. Often they will retain passwords and addresses for email and membership sites over a long period of time. So if you visit internet cafes or your laptop falls into the wrong hands, there is a very real risk of this information being accessed.
A distant and more menacing cousin of cookies are Trojan horses. By definition, a Trojan horse is not what it appears to be.
For example, an ad in your inbox claims it will send you a cheque for $1,000 with one click. But underneath this lure, an author has created hidden programs and scripts that can remotely control your computer.
Current antivirus software is crucial to safe internet use. There is still the possibility of downloading malicious programs without knowing it.
In fact, much of the damage done online via marketing and unsolicited advertising again comes back to the nature of the internet. It's so rapid and without boundaries that users' behaviour often reflects these exact characteristics.
But by observing the same caution and common sense from our everyday lives, the web can easily provide a wealth of opportunity and value to smart users.
Marketing scams are everywhere on the internet. Always know what you're getting yourself into. Check if the company or site is authentic. Never supply banking or personal information if you're unsure. Cookies and Trojan horses can cause invasion of privacy and steal information from your computer. Understand that cybercrime is a multi-billion-dollar industry and you could be targeted next.
A faceless act with devastating consequences. Cyberbullying involves the specific targeting of a person with threatening, humiliating or cruel attacks, usually by anonymous bullies. It has a real impact outside the chat rooms and social networking sites where it occurs, and has been linked to numerous suicides and violent acts across the world.
Most importantly, it is a crime, one that can result in long-term loss of internet use for the attacker, as well as embarrassing repercussions in the school and local community. To avoid these calculated attacks, you firstly need to know the different forms cyberbullying can take. While direct attacks commonly involve email or instant messaging, others can be more elaborate and sinister. For example, take the creation of a hate group. Within a few minutes, the Facebook user has set up a school's biggest loser group. It's complete with photos and a biography of the victim, including invitations to the whole year level.
Before long, the target has also been invited. He or she sees over 50 group members and a string of cruel messages. What would you do if this happened to you? Like in the playground, immediate retaliation can seem like the best response. But often this just provokes the bully onto bigger and more prolonged attacks.
Initially, say this to yourself: drop the mouse and take 5. It might seem corny, but at least it gives you the time to consider your initial reaction, if any. While in theory it's easy to suggest telling a teacher or parent, many victims of cyberbullying are too embarrassed or ashamed. Often the victim will feel more inclined to turn to a close friend. This can help put the attack into perspective by recognising the bully is the one with the real problem. It is their own insecurities and lack of self-esteem which are being projected onto the victims. A victim might also feel that reducing their internet use for a few weeks could help. By avoiding email and social networking sites, the victim has immediately destroyed the attacker's biggest weapon.
However, when there are a number of people involved, like with a hate group, it can feel like the whole world is against you. Ultimately, the most effective strategy is turning to a teacher you can trust, and many schools now have counsellors trained in dealing with online bullying. At the time, you might feel weak or ashamed, but the alternative has far more damaging consequences.
Prevention is also a key component of cyberbullying. When students face the possibility of being shamed for their online assaults, often the rate of bullying decreases. This doesn't mean attacks won't occur, only that they are less likely to gain momentum when online groups and polls are formed. In the end, there is no perfect strategy for avoiding online bullying. Because the technology allows for anonymous threats and faceless attacks, there will always be cruel and insecure individuals who have nothing better to do with their time. A faceless, cruel act with devastating consequences. Online bullying is a crime. There are many forms of bullying, like hate groups or polls. If you're a victim of bullying, take 5 and think about your response. But there is no perfect way to stop cyberbullying, and it will always occur in some form or another.
As we have seen, the internet is a pervasive and powerful medium. It offers users access to thousands of sites and information they would struggle to find in books or on the television. But this is not always used for good. Just like in politics, many people who operate blogs and websites will have views on subjects that will be biased and deliberately misleading. Separating fact from fiction is no easy task. For instance, you're researching for an essay due tomorrow. In your rush to locate suitable facts and figures, you find yourself trawling through countless websites. Often you might not realise how old the site is, when it was last updated, who supplied the information, what their background is, and why they are so intent on denying that events like the Holocaust ever happened. The internet allows everyone to have an equal voice. This means even the most violent, racist, or implausible views are given an outlet. By pretending to be an authority, these people pass themselves off as experts. Deciphering what is propaganda and what is established fact requires a strategy like we used in avoiding online fraud.
The user should double and triple check the reference. Ensure the websites are moderated by a range of experts, which includes the backgrounds of those supplying information. Also, accessing material from your library and textbooks allows you to spot misleading or extreme views. More worrying for any internet user is exposure to inappropriate information. While it might feel rebellious to click into certain sites, sometimes the nature of the content can take you by surprise. Graphic violence, child pornography, and bomb-making advice are just some of the images easily accessed. Curiosity is one thing, but consistent exposure to extreme or illegal content has a damaging impact. If the mind is forced to endure images of mutilated bodies and people being shot, there is the possibility of trauma and distress for the viewer. The damage might not be felt immediately, but studies have shown repeated viewing of explicit imagery affects learning and behaviour over a long period. It's never easy to totally avoid accessing misleading information and inappropriate images. The internet is a slippery operator. Accidents are bound to happen. But maintaining a strict protocol and your own morals when researching the net minimises the chances of falling into its hidden traps. The internet offers access to thousands of sites, but not all are in the business of presenting fact. Extreme and misleading views are commonplace on the web, and users should take steps to avoid this material. Just like marketing material, information should be thoroughly checked. Curiosity can expose users to graphic imagery that can have long-term effects. Establish your own protocol to avoid misleading or offensive material. As we've seen, the internet is a rapidly growing form of communication. Millions of users hop online every day, and the majority of people use it for ethical and legitimate purposes. But as in your everyday life, there will always be those who engage in illegal, dangerous and cruel activities. Remaining safe is no easy task. However, by remembering a few simple steps and using your own common sense, you can enjoy the many benefits the internet has to offer.